today on your Monday evening to be part of this important conversation about the FY27 budget. As this is an open house, it is that is being conducted by administration. This is not a regular meeting of city council. As a result, there is no commentary from council members or discussion between council members at this budget open house pursuant to the instructions we have received from our legal department. Commentary and discussion on budget matters can happen at future council meetings. However, we do appreciate you coming and we will be listening to the feedback that you provide here today. Each year, our budget is shaped by the needs of the people who live, work, and raise their families here and who rely on city services every day. We also know that those needs are vast and in many cases growing. At the same time, our resources are limited. Our responsibility is to balance those realities thoughtfully and responsibly. Over the past several months, my colleagues and I have worked closely with the administration, reviewing proposals, weighing priorities, and asking tough questions to ensure the budget reflects both the fiscal constraints and our shared community values. Administration will be covering the budget process during their presentation. We are navigating rising costs, shifting federal support, and uncertainty at the state level. In that environment, we must stay focused on what matters most, keeping St. Petersburg safe, resilient, and moving forward. That means investing in core services, public safety, infrastructure, sustainability, and the everyday essentials that residents depend on, from parks and libraries to clean streets and reliable utilities. Tonight is your opportunity to share your perspective, where we're meeting expectations and where we can improve. So it is now my pleasure to introduce our mayor, Kenneth T. Welch. Good evening.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and good evening to you, to council, to our great St. Pete team, and to all of our residents who are joining us here in person and also online. Tonight, we continue the budget development process for the fiscal year 2027 budget, and your feedback is vital. The purpose of this open house is to hear your voices, as Chair said, and understand your insights and perspectives as we finalize the recommended budget. It's important to keep in mind that we all share the same goal: to identify priorities and implement programs and services that will improve the quality of life for all residents in the city of St. Petersburg. I also want to extend a special thanks to our budget team, to Assistant City Manager Tom Green, Administrator Tom Green, and Liz, and all of the departments that took us through detailed line item reviews to help develop this budget. For the fiscal year 2027 budget, our administration continues to be intentional when it comes to seeking information and input from our community. We remain focused on innovation, inclusivity, and community engagement as we pursue our goal of inclusive progress for all who call St. Pete home. We approach the development of our annual budget with the goal of funding essential city services and addressing current and emerging needs of our city. As we know, the anchors supporting our important work are the 5 pillars for progress: housing opportunities for all, education and youth opportunities, equitable development, arts and business opportunities, safe and healthy neighborhoods, and environment, infrastructure, and resilience. Last year, our FY26 budget process emphasized resilience. It contains significant capital improvement project funding to support sustainability and resiliency. This included projects like water and stormwater infrastructure, bridges and seawalls, sidewalks, streets, and roads. Now, for the FY27 budget process, we are building on that foundation and strengthening that focus by advancing economic and community resilience. To continue building resilience, our draft budget will prioritize projects that strengthen our infrastructure and systems and improve our capacity to deliver critical city services in an era of challenge. While we continue our long-term recovery from the 2024 storms, I want to stress that we must also prepare for current and future pressures on our long-term stability. As we develop this budget, we will need to make strategic decisions, some that may be difficult, as community needs continue to increase and trend towards outpacing our projected resources. However, we know one thing is clear: our infrastructure needs to be substantially improved to meet the environmental and weather challenges that we are experiencing. Now, past planning and investments have taken place and they have been effective, but the weather impacts that we are seeing currently are greater than what was forecast. To meet that goal, we're planning on asking the voters to approve a general obligation bond to fund approximately $600 million in sewer system upgrades, flooding solutions, and other neighborhood improvement projects. Under our SPAR program, or St. Pete Agile Resilience Plan, we fast-tracked the completion of several infrastructure projects. But the resources needed to make a more substantial impact to meet more of the objectives of the Stormwater Master Plan require a higher level of funding, and we need that funding now in the near term. The proposed bond funding will allow us to move forward more rapidly on the infrastructure improvements we need to handle the impacts of sea level rise, extreme weather, and flooding. And ultimately, we can't rely exclusively on water and sewer rate increases to fund these projects. We want to keep increasing our overall resiliency, and we believe that SPAR is critical to achieving that goal. Now, in addition to our overall resiliency goals, our draft budget will continue to prioritize programs that align with our pillars for progress. While there have been many legislative changes at the state level within the last year that are requiring us to reevaluate our budget priorities, we remain committed to developing a budget that works for all of our residents and ensures that everyone has the opportunity to succeed in our city. In a few minutes, you'll hear from the city's budget director, the queen of spreadsheets, Liz Makovsky. Liz will share detailed information about the proposed draft budget and provide more information about the programs our budget will invest in. Every year, we hear from individuals who are wondering how to get involved in the city's budget development process and how to express their budget priorities. And that's why we host this Budget Open House event. This event is an opportunity to share your thoughts and priorities as we refine the draft budget. So again, thank you all for joining us. We appreciate your partnership and look forward to hearing your thoughts and feedback tonight. And remember, we are St. Pete. Madam Chair.
Good evening, Liz.
Good evening. Before I get started, we're going to show a quick video. Good evening, everyone, and thank you again for joining us for the City of St. Petersburg FY27 Budget Open House. My name is Liz Makovsky, and I'm the city's Director of Budget and Management. Before we get into the public comment section of tonight, I'm going to go over a little bit of the FY27 preliminary budget process. Building a budget is about priorities, and the city's annual budget development process is a balance between our numerous priorities and our limited resources. And as the mayor mentioned earlier in his comments, the budget process is centered on ensuring our resources are deployed along one of the mayor's 5 pillars for progress, which are in turn guided by the 6 principles for accountable and responsible government. Our goal on an annual basis is to ensure that the citywide investments we make support our vision of being a diverse, vibrant city guided by principled progress and intentional inclusivity, where innovative partnerships and ingenuity create opportunity for all. Last year's budget process emphasized resilience, and for the FY27 budget, we're building on that foundation and strengthening that focus by advancing economic and community resilience as the city continues to recover from the 2024 storms and prepare for current and future pressures on our long-term stability. The city's budget development process is dictated by state statutes and city ordinance, and we have developed a series of internal processes that allow us to meet all the deadlines prescribed by law. Starting back in December, we began the planning phase for the FY27 budget, And at that point in the process, we're working in 3 different fiscal years, having just completed FY25, City Council recently adopting the budget for FY26, and planning for FY27. Then in January, we had the City Council's Priorities Committee of the Whole, which is a chance for City Council members to share their priorities and with the public and city administration. Also held in January and February are the kickoff meetings that start the formal budget development process. At these meetings, the budget department provides information, direction, training, and important budget dates to the city departments. Next, departments complete internal reviews of their budget, and any changes to the budget are organized into proposals, which are prioritized and then submitted to the budget department. After budget reviews, the department submissions, we hold line item review meetings, and each department meets with budget and city administration to review and discuss their proposed budget. During this process, proposals are further prioritized in an effort to ensure that each is aligned with the mayor's pillars for progress. Annually, we hold a budget open house where the public has an opportunity to participate in the budget process by sharing their thoughts and priorities with the city. And this year's open house, like last year, has been scheduled earlier in the budget process than previous years. After the open house is held and the line item review process completed, we have committee of the whole meetings with City Council to report on the progress we have made and to solicit input and direction from City Council. The CIP Committee of the Whole is scheduled for April 23rd and the Operating Committee of the Whole on May 7th. Other important dates in the budget process include in late June, but no later than July 1st, we will receive the certified values from the Property Appraiser's Office. Then on or before July 15th, Mayor Welch will submit his balanced budget recommendations to City Council. And then at the July 23rd City Council meeting, we'll set the tentative millage rate and public hearing dates for the FY27 budget. There is a committee of the whole on this recommended budget scheduled for July 30th. And besides tonight, we'll continue to have other opportunities to provide input on the budget, including the 2 public budget hearings scheduled for September 3rd and September 17th. And then October 1st is the beginning of FY27. The key areas of investments planned for the preliminary FY27 budget are aligned with the mayor's five pillars for progress. Under the education and youth opportunities pillars, there is funding to continue programs such as the Mayor's Future Readiness Academy, year-round youth employment program, our youth development grants, hands-on after-school programming, the Boys and Girls Club Prosperity Pathway, and literacy and STEAM programs. Under the Equitable Development, Arts and Business Opportunities pillar, we look to fund the continuation of many of our economic and workforce development and art programs, including the city's arts grant program, individual artist grants, small business grants and programs, and the Target Industry Economic and Workforce Development Incentives Program. For the Neighborhood Health and Safety pillar, we are continuing to fund neighborhood and public safety programs like the CALL program, community impact grants, neighborhood partnership grants, and the Healthy Neighborhood Store program. For the Housing Opportunity for All pillar, there will be funding to continue our progress on the 10-year Housing Opportunities for All agenda and to provide resources for social service programs. And finally, in the Environment, Infrastructure, and Resiliency pillar, the preliminary budget will have funding for projects that protect our environment, increase our resilience, and improve our city's infrastructure, including the CP Agile Resilience Program. There are some key investments on the capital improvement budget. They include water and stormwater infrastructure, including the SPAR program. There's funding for affordable housing land acquisition, funding for the police canine compound and fire training facilities, increased funding for street and road improvements and complete streets. There's also funding for bridges and seawalls, sidewalks, improvements at our rec centers, parks, and libraries, city facility renovations and improvements, and neighborhood partnership grants and enhancements. So I'd like to end with a note that information about the city's budget is available on the city's website. Thank you again for joining us this evening, and we're looking forward to hearing from you.
Thank you, Liz. So I would like to know at this time that Councilmember Fig Sanders is not here due to travel, and Vice Chair Floyd is also out because he's feeling sick. So they'd be here if they could, but they're not here because of that. As I mentioned before, there is no commentary from city council members or discussion between council members because this is a budget open house and not a regular city council meeting. So at this point, we will now move into public comment. Although this is not a standard city council meeting with open forum, we will follow similar rules. You'll be called up by the clerk. When you come up to the podium, please state your name and address or cross-reach for the record. You'll have 3 minutes to speak. If we have people on Zoom, we're going to alternate. The clerk will alternate between in-person and Zoom speakers. Clerk, you please call the first 2 speakers.
Madam Chair, first 2 speakers in the chamber, Miko Seymour and Lama Hassan. Please go to either podium. As the chair indicated, state your name and address or across street. You have 3 minutes to address City Council.
Great. My name is Miko Seymour, and I live at 824 10th Avenue South. I want you to walk with me down MLK Junior Street South. Start at Central, head south past Campbell Park, past the corner where my Cafe Aura opens this August. Keep walking, past the elders waiting at the bus stops with no shade, past the mothers pushing strollers in the street because the sidewalk gave out 3 blocks ago, past the kids who learned early which intersections will kill you if you blink. Now stop and look at the street sign. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., the man who marched for the dignity of Black workers in Memphis, the man who said the arc of the moral universe bends towards justice. His name is on that sign, and the road beneath his name is a road the city feels like has not loved. I'm asking you today to prioritize complete streets funding on MLK Junior Street South, not next year, not in some future phase of a plan that keeps getting pushed back, but this budget and this budget cycle. The corridor that bears Dr. King's name should not have to wait its turn behind every other priority in this room. And I'm also asking you to keep investing in South St. Pete neighborhoods that built this city and got the lease back. Rosa Park, where I serve as president of the neighborhood association, Campbell Park, where generations of Black St. Petians made a home out of what the city would not give them. These neighborhoods do not need pity, they need sidewalks. They need crosswalks, they need street lights that work and curbs that meet ADA standards and bike lanes that connect to somewhere worth going. Now, I've grown up in public housing raised by a single mother, and I know what it feels like to live in a neighborhood the city forgot. And I'm raising a daughter in a city I believe is way better than that. So put money where the name is. Put money where the people are. Thank you so much.
Excuse me. My name is Lamal Hassan. I live at MLK and Gandy. I am a member of the Bay Area Dream Defenders, and we've come out to talk to y'all before and talk to you about the conversations that we've been having with folks out in the streets, where we're talking to them about what do they need to address gun violence. And even in conversations that we continue to have today, one of the top answers that we hear is youth programming. So I'm here today because I want to make sure that the Save Our Streets proposal that we've sent to all of y'all is included in this upcoming fiscal year. We've been told by the mayor that there is enough money in the budget to go around, and we want to make sure that we see that reflected. We want to make sure that it's more than just a few $1,000s here, a few $1,000s there, because we know that's not enough to actually make a dent and make our community safer. We have to actually put a significant amount of funds towards this. We've seen how a third of our budget gets spent on things like quote unquote public safety, which unfortunately includes a lot of surveillance by the police, which is not something that is a proactive solution to keep our youth engaged and to keep them, and give them access to the youth programming that they need. Save Our Streets is meant to be a holistic approach to actually combat gun violence and by addressing the root cause, which is a lack of resources. So right now we have a proposal that has been significantly scaled down to a mere $2 million over a 5-year period. And right now that proposal prioritizes creating roles, including hiring teens to actively go out in communities, not just, on a random corner where folks are not showing up, but door to door, and actually engaging with folks to make sure that families are aware of the existing programs and get them signed up right then and there to overcome any barriers that may exist, whether they are financial, whether it's the complex documentation, whether it's transportation, whatever it is, these liaisons will help make sure that the kids get signed up. We know that this is one piece of the puzzle, but it's an important one to make sure to include. In our proposal, we also have some funds for summer programming and computers. I cannot stress enough that we are not asking for enough. We are asking for the bare minimum. So I also want to make sure to thank Council members Floyd and Gabbard for including Save Our Streets in their priorities, and ask the rest of the board and the mayor to ensure that this version of the proposal is included in the budget, and to also work on creating a genuinely holistic approach in the future that addresses the needs of the youth across the board.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, the next speaker is in Zoom, Max McCann. Max, once you enter into the meeting space, please unmute yourself, state your name and address, and you have 3 minutes to address to the council. Max?
I'm hitting unmute right now. Okay, Max McCann, 2648 3rd Avenue South. I'd like to request that we increase funding for Complete Streets and Safe Streets projects, especially funding for MLK South. You know that these projects usually take 7 to 8 years to await funding. I just don't think we have that kind of time. We need to treat our street safety crisis like the crisis it is, and respond to it boldly, especially with state funding becoming more tenuous for these kind of projects. So thank you, everybody. I also think it would be great if we could fund increased frequency of service on the Sunrunner. Let's go from 15-minute service to 10-minute service. That'll make a world of difference. And I'm not sure if the PSTA will fund that, so hopefully the city can. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Next two speakers, Madam Chair, Julianne Fisher and Jerry Kurtz. Please go to either podium, state your name and address, or cross street, and you have 3 minutes to address City Council.
Anyone can start.
Okay. Hi, my name is Juliana Fisher. I'm at 1227 Jungle Avenue, and I'm the president of the Jungle Prada Neighborhood Association, and here on behalf of the households in Jungle Prada, as well as a formal partnership that is formed between Azalea, Crossroads, Holiday Park, Jungle Terrace Civic, and neighborhood associations spanning thousands of residents in Western St. Pete. Residents are coming together to ensure the Jungle Prada Park Pier is replaced at its full length and existing location. It's important to us that this pier be replaced at its existing length and size, even if it takes longer to gather funds, get approvals, or extend permits, versus rushing the project for a less desirable finished product, such as a smaller structure. Understanding the pier creates a budget challenge, and considering the newly approved federal funds for the Dunedin Pier, several neighborhood volunteers are working to investigate external funding assistance from federal, state, environmental, and historical structure grants. We have also been approached by a city-approved marine contractor already doing work in other St. Pete parks that has expressed providing a quote significantly less than what the city has today. We ask that the council members and city leadership involve these neighborhood associations in discussions and considerations of the pier moving forward, to ensure we are all working together for the best outcome for our city. Some points to consider. The JP Pier is the only overwater access on the western side of the city. Without this pier, JP Park consists only of a small patch of grass at the water's edge and 2 public boat ramps. The pier more than triples the square footage of the park, making it much more desirable and usable by the general public. This park, without the pier, becomes simply a public boat ramp, not a recreational leisure area. Due to low water in this area of Boca Ciega Bay, a shorter structure would likely not be over water, making it unusable. West St. Pete has a few thousand new residential dwelling units approved and in permitting to be built over the next few years. City amenities are expected to keep up with the development for residents now and in the future. This pier is used by all of us. Residents and visitors from all over Pinellas County come to use this pier on a regular basis, and especially holidays like July 4th and New Year's Eve for overwater fireworks over Boca Ciega Bay. In summary, this isn't just about a pier. It's about equitable access, public infrastructure, and preserving a long-standing community asset. We urge you to prioritize funding and explore all available options external to city resources that support a full rebuild and reflects the need of your constituents. Additionally, we ask that you involve and engage with the neighborhood association leaders that are working tirelessly on behalf of our residents to explore external funding options before any plans or decisions are finalized.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Jerry Kurtz. My address is 1921 Country Club Road North. I am here also to advocate for the Jungle Prada Pier replacement. I live a little bit more than half a mile from the pier. I'm a regular down there, walking down there with my dog and on my bicycle, and I love the pier. I wanted to say thank you for this opportunity to participate in your process. It's a privilege and a pleasure. Y'all have a huge responsibility budgeting the funds every year. There's always a higher ask than what's available, and we get that. And thank you for doing what you do. I really appreciate it. The pier is so significant of an asset for the city, but it might be quite unknown to the most people of the city. If you go by there pretty fast, you'll miss it. But it is very similar to the wonderful pier we have here. I don't think everybody's looking back, struggling with what we did with this wonderful pier here that hundreds of thousands of people enjoy. So picture this on a miniature basis, very same thing. I've seen young families fishing there, fathers teaching their sons how to fish. I've seen people that maybe have come down and never seen dolphins before, just jumping up and down when they see one go by. So everything that we know, the beautiful things that are happening at the big pier happen at this pier as well. And it is a public meeting place, a waterfront public meeting place and public access for hundreds of residents and visitors. I've stood there and watched visitors come down and just are amazed at how wonderful it is. The sunsets and the fireworks, I just can't even really put it to words. Also, what's very cool about this pier is it's co-located with some fabulous things. The park itself is historical. The pier is historical. The boat ramp is amazing. Whoever's responsible for getting the boat ramp fixed pretty quickly, thank you, thank you, thank you. It's a wonderful boat ramp. It gets a lot of use. It's very well maintained. The sacred lands, if you've never been over to the sacred lands and the Indian mounds, I really encourage you to take a walk through there. It's amazing. And finally, there's a wonderful restaurant right there. And it's just great food. And so we have all these things happening around this area and the pier. And I've seen people enjoy all these things. So please, please find a way to budget replacement of this pier. You will not regret it, I promise. Thank you very much.
Madam Chair, the next two speakers are in Zoom. However, one of the speakers' names is listed as Wildwood Heights. So Wildwood Heights, when I let you in, please state your name, whoever's operating this account, your name, address, and you have 3 minutes to address to the council.
Good evening. Can everyone hear me?
Yes, we can. State your name and address, please.
Amber Woods, 1024 Jordan Park Street South. And I would like to state that I'm here representing one community grocery co-op, and more importantly, the families of South St. Petersburg who are doing everything right, and we're still struggling to access healthy food. We do understand that the budget is tight this year, but the budget excuse me, the tight budgets are exactly why we need to be intentional about what we fund. Food insecurity is not a side issue, especially for us. It's directly tied to healthcare costs, public safety, workforce stability, and educational outcomes. When families can't access food, the city pays for it on the back end every time. Our co op is not asking the city to carry us, we're asking the city to invest in a solution that is community owned, already in motion, and designed to reduce long term dependency on public systems. Even with constraints at the state level, including limitations around Department of Government Efficiency, the need hasn't changed, but the urgency has. We're asking for strategic investment, not charity, so we can continue building systems where the community feeds itself, sustains itself, and stabilizes itself. Thank you.
Next speaker in Zoom, Holly Dong, please, once you enter into the meeting space, please unmute yourself, state your name and address. You have 3 minutes to address the council. Holly? Please unmute yourself.
Hello. Hi. Hi, my name is Hong Nam Dong, and I live here in St. Petersburg. Address is 5210 43rd Avenue North, East Petersburg, Florida. I'm with the Dream Defenders, and I'm here to speak in support of demands of safer streets to increase funding in our youth program. Growing up, my parents worked all the time for us. They did their best, but they were not always home. I watched my older brother get into gangs, not because he was a bad kid, but because there were not enough safe spaces to support around him. My path was different. I was able to attend an after-school program at the Asian Neighborhood Family Center. That space gave me structure, care, and stability when I needed it most. It helped me to keep on a different path. So I know from my own life that youth programs work. I also see that there are so many organizations in St. Petersburg doing this work every day. They are showing up for young people and helping kids keep safe. They just need more funding and trust the city to continue and grow. And when we invest in youth, we are preventing harm before it starts and building long-term safety for the whole community. Last year, the city increased the policing budget to about $10 million. I am not against public safety, but I do believe that we also need to invest in earlier prevention programs and youth programs. I am asking the city to prioritize funding for youth programs, especially the organizations already doing this work in our community, because every young person deserves that chance. I know from my own life that it can make great changes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next 2 speakers in the chamber, Madam Chair, Lauren Hubbard and Kristen Elrick. Please go to either podium, state your name and address for the record, or cross street, and you have 3 minutes to address City Council.
My name is Kristen Ehrlich, 2386 Granada Circle West. I'm here today to request increasing budget to complete streets, as our long-running complete streets initiatives are running particularly slow. And we need more funding, particularly for those in South St. Pete, and also increasing what we think of as projects in South St. Pete, because there are roads that are continually dangerous that aren't addressed, like MLK South. These projects need to be in long-term planning initiatives, but we need to address them sooner. In particular, I also request a budget to complete the 31st Street South Complete Street Study and a funding initiative to fix the most dangerous portions of that road before another life is lost or someone is seriously injured. I also suggest working on creative solutions with funding. In particular, one area of concern is the Lakewood Trail Connector, which is an area between 31st Street South and 34th that runs underneath 275. This project could be funded in combination with FDOT's Safe Routes to Schools program in partnership with Maximo Elementary, but the city needs to take initiative to help the elementary school with this process. It is a very arduous process to complete. There is also currently an abandoned building sitting on the end of this lot that makes the area more difficult. The city could think about purchasing this to open the trailhead and make it safer in not only sightline, but access. children cross to school underneath this underpass, and is one of the only ways to get to Maximo Elementary. And it's also the way to get to the Skyway Marina District, as well as the new Sparkline investment. We have spent so much money on the Sparkline, the city has, and we need more people to actually have access to it. So my suggestion is to think about funding the trail connector and think about funding the other Complete Streets initiative. I think if we think holistically now on smart solutions combined with FDOT, maybe private investment, we can address these complete street solutions much sooner than we've historically been able to. Thank you.
Thank you.
Council members, my name is Lauren Hubbard. I'm the Executive Director for the Skyway Marina District, and I am here in front of you as a mother, as a community advocate, to talk about a trail that I walked today in the middle of the day. This is the Lakewood Trail connector between 34th and 31st Street under 275, which also brings us into the youth elementary school Maximo. This is essentially a funnel to get these youth to school and home, and also how our business entrepreneurs, business professionals are able to come into the Skyway Marina District and work. So this is essential for many reasons, but ultimately because we're an ecosystem, and the Skyway Marina District is a part of that. And what we're asking is, you know, we often hear people say we're building the plane while we're flying it. And I don't know about you, but I wouldn't get on that plane. That sounds a little unsafe. So before we continue to lift off and amplify and elevate the rest of the city in a way that we're seeing development rise, I ask us to pause and step back and connect on the things that we started before we continue to build on other projects. And I think that would really mean that securing this infrastructure where there's current syringes left over, where there's people laying, where there's fenced off, it's saying you're not welcome here. And in St. Pete, being a trails town, as of 2025, we need to have access for our youth, for our business members, for our residents, for our districts to be complete. And so with that, I ask you to partner with us, help us fix this, to look into the streets survey. Let's fix that. Let's talk to FDOT. Let's do what we can to make reparations that we've already put in place to the community members that are here, that are working, that are the backstone of this community. Thank you.
Thank you. Next two speakers.
There's two speakers, Franklin Alves and Courtney Burtz. Please go to either podium, state your name, address, or cross street, and you will have 3 minutes to address City Council.
Good evening, Courtney Burt, 11207 Blue Heron Drive, or Boulevard, excuse me, St. Pete 33716. I am here as a native to this area and also the Vice President of Community Impact and Health Strategies for the local Heart Association, requesting that $82,863 be added as a line item for fiscal year 27 budget for a grocery on the go mobile grocery store for the families of Jordan Park and the adjacent communities. We requested this last year and the council was very supportive. There was a lot of great discussion where we talked out loud about potentially moving money from sidewalk painting, fluoride education, and different things. And we almost came up with that dollar amount in that hearing. And we asked from the bottom of our hearts that this gets added as a line item for fiscal year 27. We have gotten the recommendation to apply for grants, and we appreciate those recommendations. However, this is a project that will have really big positive influence for the families of these communities, and we don't want it to just be added for a year and then lose the grant funding, which is why we are so persistent about this being added as a line item in the budget. This grocery store will not only improve the purchasing power for those families by accepting SNAP benefits and doubling them for fresh produce, it will remove transportation barriers by bringing a grocery store to these families twice a month right to their doorsteps. It will also improve access to these families to other beneficial resources to enrich their lives. The Heart Association has committed to allocating resources like blood pressure devices, CPR education, and we have a lot of other partners which will be sending letters of support to everyone in other areas, bolstering financial literacy, health wellness. We have banking partners. Pretty much somebody from every sector has committed to helping really bolster the success and the comprehensive nature of this initiative. The return on this investment it will be incredible: reduced medical resource utilization, improved productivity in the workplace and academic settings, and really just helping bring the community together and enhancing connectedness. Mayor Welch mentioned, this really being a focus on economic and community resilience. And I can't think of a better initiative that will really not only impact the health of the neighborhood pillar, but really all the other pillars that is so important to this community. So thank you very much. And we'll be sending other information to be supportive of this. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Hi, Council. My name is Franklin. I live at 1026 9th Avenue South. I'm here to advocate for two specific things. The first one is increasing in youth funding for our kids. Living in Campbell Park, too often our CSO comes with reports of, gun violence, carjackings, things like that. All of them are happening with kids. We need to invest in more opportunities to be able to have resources that go to parents' house, help them with signing up with programs. The same thing we've talked about with the South CRA funding abilities. Need to be able to find a way to get those resources to people's houses to help them and remove a lot of those barriers that they're experiencing. There's a lot of really great programs out there for youth, and we just need to invest in those and keep getting those to people's houses. The other priority that I have for us today is investing in complete streets. An enormous part of building community is our access to mobility and being able to move with dignity within our communities, meet our neighbors, and go around. Some of the coolest experiences I've had have been with interacting with neighborhoods along the trails or neighborhoods that have protected bike lanes, Crescent Lights, Magnolia Heights. All of them are so proud of the infrastructure that they have. That is a big part of their community to be able to get around and move in their neighborhoods with safety. We need that across all parts of our city, especially in South St. Pete. We're doing a lot of studies that say the exact same thing. The Southside Mobility Study says we need a crosswalk on 14th. The 13th Street Heights plan says we need a crosswalk on 14th. The Complete Streets plan says we need a crosswalk on 14th Avenue South and MLK. At some point, we just need to start funding and completing these projects. We have a lot of residents that are just dying, attempting to access what food resources are available, going to a friend's house, kids going to school. There's not a crosswalk for kids on MLK to get from their neighborhood in Bartlett Park or Roser Park to Campbell Park Elementary School. And that is just astonishing to me. And so those are my two main priorities, and thank you all.
Thank you. Next two speakers.
There's two speakers, Madam Chair, Jordanis Mola and Paul Kurtz. Please go to either podium, state your name, address, or cross street, and you have 3 minutes to address City Council.
Go ahead, Mr. Kurtz.
Good evening, Paul Kurtz, 910 31st Terrace North. I'm here to advocate for additional safety funding, in particular for our vulnerable road users. In my opinion, safety is one of the most important functions that the city can provide. We've heard a lot about complete streets, a lot about safety, and these, in my opinion, are critical infrastructure to be supported. So I'd like to first thank the council for having every single person on here have in their budget priorities list something for safety, complete streets, sidewalks. That's fantastic. So that sends a loud and clear message, I think, to all of our residents that safety is a priority. So I'd love to see that these important safety initiatives get funded to a higher level. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Jordanos Mola. I live at 2000 Guinea Boulevard North, St. Petersburg, Florida, 33702, and have been a resident of St. Petersburg for almost 6 years. In addition to some other folks I have mentioned here today, I'm here to support the demands of the Save Our Streets campaign to fund more youth programming and as well as outreach for those programming. As we all want to stop violence in our communities, we want to make sure that our budget reflects that. And across the country and here in St. Pete, one of the best indicators of where we see more violence is where there's a lack of investment in the local community. We want to make sure that the city budget reflects the people's budget and reflects what the community is wanting based off our outreach we have heard is more accessible youth programming. While we know that there are organizations as well as the city that are hosting various programming, many people in the neighborhood have mentioned that they still don't know about them or know how to access them. And we want to advocate to fund more active outreach in the community to make sure that they can take advantage of these programs. We want the city to invest in more paid positions to expand its current engagement outreach to the community to boost awareness and the use of the programs available in them. Like I mentioned in various city council meetings prior, we have met with both the mayor and city council, and out of those ideas or out of those meetings came an idea to hire youth directly themselves to help with the initiative to conduct outreach, to reach both young audiences and give the youth better leadership skills that they can utilize in the job force. Last fall, we attended a gun violence awareness walk in St. Pete led by the community based on community members who've lost children or other family members and friends due to gun violence. And during that, one of the mothers whose teenage son was killed by gun violence shared that she did not know how to help her son or what program she can involve her son in. According to multiple articles and studies, such as those written in the Journal of Urban Health and Official Journal of Society for Prevention Research, show that youth employment programs are a promising intervention to reduce crime and violence. Cities like Baltimore and New York have already shown successful programs to reduce violence in the community, such as New York City's crisis management system, which includes an anti-gun violence employment program for seasonal employment for young people between the ages of 14 and 24 to support things like community canvassing, data research gathering, community outreach. These are things that are directly in line with our updated proposal to hire young people themselves to engage in the community about youth programming and other opportunities. There needs to be more investment in youth programming and investment in comprehensive outreach to advertise and engage the community. That is what the community is asking for, and we're asking city public officials to prioritize the needs of the community and champion for this investment.
Thank you.
Two speakers, Madam Chair, Justin Cornoyer and Kate Johnson, please go to either podium, state your name, address, or cross street, and you will have 3 minutes to address City Council.
Hi, everyone. I'm Justin Cornoyer. I reside at 1026 9th Avenue South. I'm here with a lot of other folks here to talk about complete streets, particularly for MLK South. I was here for the last budget meeting where you guys talked about your priorities. One street, two realities. MLK North has seen a dramatic reduction in crashes for all road users. MLK South has seen an increase. 16 people have lost their lives or had their lives severely altered and have disabilities now outside of cars, pedestrians, and bicyclists. It's just as bad for people in cars too. So we're ready to see some funding for MLK South, as well as 5th Avenue South and other high injury network streets in our city. So I think this is the year that we're gonna see it happen. Thank you so much.
Hi, my name's Kate Johnson. I'm also here to talk about complete streets and how important it is to us on the South Side. I am a small business owner in the area. I've owned my own company for 11 years now, and I'm starting a brand new small business at 914 MLK South. It's going to be a bookstore. In that building is a collective of businesses that's going to come in all at the same time. It's the same place where Cafe Or is going to be, and it's the same place where we're going to have coding for kids, where kids are going to be able to learn. It's going to have activated spaces, and that's how we help our streets. One of the things that's most important about the area is that it's not very walkable at the moment. As you come up to it, you can't get to it without almost getting into the street. We go out there and walk and see our space, and we have to really pay attention to where we're at. So our front door is literally on MLK. Being able to have complete streets funded on the South Side is going to increase our walkability, the neighborhood's walkability, as far as being able to access the different businesses. And as a business owner, I'm going to be putting in $250,000 of my own business, of my own money for this business, as well as John Barquette, who's doing the Looking Glass initiative, and he's going to be putting in $3.5 million of his own money. So if we can get the budget to reflect something similar, it's the best time to activate this South Side, because we're also activating it as neighbors in the community. I live there. I want my kids to be able to walk to school. We watch kids get off the city bus and try to cross the street right there, and it hurts my heart that they're actually running across the street with no crosswalks. So it's important on all aspects, as well as a business side and an activated neighborhood side, and as one of the last affordable neighborhoods in the city. This is where our community is living. This isn't where people are just coming in from out of state and buying up real estate. This is where our community lives. So it would be nice to have the budget spent on the South Side as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Final card, Madam Chair, Sierra Clark, please go to either podium, state your name, address, or cross street, and you have 3 minutes to address City Council.
Joyful day, beautiful people. My name is Sierra Clark, 4544 22nd Avenue South. I think I'm just here to echo or maybe add a little heart message to what was said about saving our streets. It seems that if saving our streets will do a whole lot more return on investment than just building up frivolous things that just bring money. I left my job after 18 years at the local all children's hospital because they only offered me a paycheck. They didn't really care about what was really affecting my quality of life, what was really happening inside my community streets. And so I wanted to be at a different intersection of that. And so in that is the Save Our Street campaign with Dream Defenders. And so we do a lot of that. And so we just started in 2022. And so our campaign is geared towards getting the city to fund a new and existing programs, especially those that promote youth. Let's talk about prevention. A lot of these things, even one of the community liaisons, her role comes after the violence has happened, which doesn't really help. Doesn't really say safety. Doesn't really say that I'm concerned. It echoes what my community knows oh so well. And I think help and support should sound like it, look like it, and feel like it. And the neighbors and the community are really starting to see like this surface level saying that we are here for you and we support you when our budget does not reflect that. And so we have some amazing youth programs, and not to take away from that, but they're underfunded. When we did our canvassing inside of the community, so my voice isn't just my voice, it's the people's voice. And so in the community, they said that we need more programs for our young people for prevention, not after the fact, and more affordable ones. And then even the marketing or the resources of it. And so this community liaison that we spoke about with Dream Defenders, this is a role that someone has time, not a role that they show up at community events for 10 minutes, do the photo op, and then they go. But we want this to be a face that when youth and parents see, that they know that that means community and somebody cares. And so I think that's important. And again, we talked about it's a funding aspect for our youth. The One Community Grocery Co-op plays a part in our cities being safe. And so it's also proven that where there's violence in the community, it's really a cry out for the lack of basic needs not being met. And so we get to do something different. I hear all the time about what we've done, but let's consider that we can not think about that and use our imagination on truly how creative and amazing we can revive the heart of St. Pete. I feel like a building that we build up can say that it's going to be here in 10 years. I don't even know if I'll be able to afford to stay here in 10 years. Thank you. Save our streets.
One more speaker, Madam Chair. Claudia Rodriguez, please go to either podium. State your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes to address City Council.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, members of council, Mayor Welch. Nice to see you all. My name is Claudio Rodriguez, and I am the Executive Director and CEO of the Museum of Fine Arts in St. Petersburg, 255 Beach Drive Northeast. And I've had the privilege of being here now a little bit over a year and a half, and I'm proud to be part of this community. I'm proud for you, the way that you've welcomed me into the community. And I am here to speak on the vital importance of continued municipal supports for the arts, an investment that returns far more to our city than can be measured on a balance sheet. As a culture anchor for over 60 years, we have evolved alongside St. Petersburg to ensure that art remains a resource for everyone in this community. Our mission is deeply aligned with the mayor's pillars for progress. We don't just house objects, we use them to build a more equitable and connected community through our intergenerational education and programs. A cornerstone of this effort is our longstanding partnerships with the Pinellas County Schools, which brings thousands of sixth grade students through our doors every single year. To deepen this impact, we are currently also creating a dedicated education gallery, a free accessible space open to all. This gallery, paired with new classrooms for hands-on arts, ensures that our local art educators and students have a permanent home for creativity and discovery. At the Museum of Fine Arts, St. Petersburg, we're also pushing the boundaries of accessibility. We believe art should meet the people where they are, which is why we've recently launched our public arts program, which you may see outside our building as we speak, bringing installations into the shared spaces of our cities, making them free and accessible to everyone. Art inspires. It is critical to identity and health of our growing city. Thank you for your continued attention to this partnership and for your dedication to keeping arts a priority for the future of St. Petersburg. Thank you.
Thank you.
One more speaker, Madam Chair. Jerry Funt, please come to either podium, state your name, address, or cross street. You have 3 minutes to address City Council.
Jerry Funt, 3803 Haynes Road North.
I just got here, so sorry if I'm repeating anything y'all have heard today already. But I'm here once again on behalf of the Bay Area Dream Defenders in support of our Save Our Streets campaign initiative. City Council has heard us talk about this campaign for years now. The mayor's office has heard us talk about this campaign for years now. We've done meetings with members of City Council. We've done meetings with the mayor's office. I know some of City Council has tried to make our campaign a priority this year, for which we really appreciate that. Since we last came and spoke to y'all, or at least since I last came and spoke to y'all last September, more people have been killed from gun violence in St. Pete. Just a few weeks ago, a young man was killed by other young men in St. Pete. We don't think the Save Our Streets campaign initiatives will stop any and all gun violence that exists in this world, right? We do think it will help. We think it will help because these kinds of programming, this kinds of support has worked elsewhere. And we think it will work because the mayor's office seemed to think it would work at one point, because they set up an office that does a lot of what we are talking about doing. It only started happening after youth were pulled into the criminal legal system, though. We're not asking to be reactive. We're asking to be proactive. We're asking to reach out to families and reach out to youth who are at risk or who don't have resources or do not know how to access resources, and to get involved with them at the onset of recognizing those things, about going to people and saying, what is it you need? And not saying, well, here's a website, best of luck, but holding their hands through the process and helping them get there. The idea of a government is that our government should be working for the people. And this is our opportunity to pursue that. I recognize there's a lot of different competing priorities every budget season, and I understand that there's a big budget and different things can be peppered in at different places. I recognize that community programs aren't going to be under just one umbrella, and I understand that a community engagement specialist might not be in a specific specified designated thing, and it might be a little here, a little there. But what we've heard year after year is, we'll figure it out next year. We'll figure it out next year. We'll figure it out next year. I've been coming to these council meetings for very many years, but on the Save Our Streets campaign, it's been at least 3 or 4 at this point. And there's always time next year. And in that time, more people will die. And we have an opportunity to act. If it doesn't work, we can always adjust later. But we have too big a budget that has grown too much in the last few years to not give it every effort we can. And so I hope that we can this budget season. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
No more speakers.
Thank you. Administration, do you have any comments before formally closing?
No, thank you for your time tonight, City Council.
Okay. Well, I want to thank everyone for being here and taking the time out of their evening to provide their input and perspective, and also for staying and listening to your fellow residents, co-residents, for their input into our city's budget. So at this point, we will go ahead and close the fiscal 2027.
Yeah, one that just popped up in Zoom.
Well, look at that. We have one that just popped up in time. We'll take that one, and then we'll close.
Andy Wells Bean, excuse me, once you enter into the meeting space, please unmute yourself, state your name and address for the record, and you have 3 minutes to address City Council.
All right. Hi, my name's Andy Wells Bean. I live at 8175 36th Avenue over in Jungle Terrace. I appreciate this opportunity to weigh in on the budget. I'm here to speak on behalf of Complete Streets and an integrated, safe bike and pedestrian network across the city. Living on the west side, I can have relatively close access to the Pinellas Trail just over Tyrone. And once we get onto the trail with my 2 boys, it's great. We've taken it all the way down for the Saturday morning market downtown, to a Rowdies game, to the movie theater. But getting from here to there, only a little more than a half mile away, is stressful, extremely stressful to go. And it really underscores how we have this great spine that runs the length of our city, and we're missing a lot of the ribs and other connective bones to get there, and so it can actually be utilized by everyone, old and young. I urge you to promote safety, promote economically efficient transportation investments and to support walking and biking wherever you can. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, and now at this time, we close the fiscal 2027 budget open house. Have a great evening, everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
We're done.